I figure we can start here. So
Right.
I think that's pretty great.
This.
So this is my new map, Mardoon. It's 2v2 map, and I'm trying something a little new here. I'm actually doing a live commentary with Christian, he's up there, and Weston. You guys
Hi.
want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Christian. Multi-lock on. Make some maps. Do stuff like that.
Nice.
I'm Weston. Forgers will know me as Xandrith, but I prefer Weston.
Ah, he prefers Weston.
But also Xandrith.
But all
Perfect. And I brought these two on because they're probably the most experienced, run the map with me. They play the map better than me. And had a bit of input on the creation of the map, too. Christian worked on a lot of the lighting, and Weston made a few buttresses, which was really essential. To
yeah, I didn't do as much as Christian did. I'm just a bystander.
You gotta give these buttresses a little bit of credit, man. Like, they're awesome. So, I guess one of the things to start with would be that on Mardoon, probably one of the most noticeable like new things that I haven't really seen in a lot of FPSs is these wind streams. So they're kind of like a modified version of like Halo's grav lift. You jump in like like Weston did there, and you fly through on a pretty irregular path, just like so. We have a few of these on the map. There's one here. Then you have another one that's over here. This one takes you to Trap Hall. It has you fly all the way around. And then a third one over here. And so I'm going to take this one right here. So these all take you in pretty different paths, but at the same time they're pretty predictable. However, one of the big things with each of these paths is that you can use the thrust to thrust out of them at any point and give yourself an advantage. So, and for this one, a good one is thrusting right here, landing on top of this buttress, and either doing some sort of fight between people on the staircase here to throw them off, or as a way to quickly get up into sneaky buttress right here to fight the chapel in here. And each of these, like, there's many ways, and I'm sure people will come up with new ways to thrust out, use them to their advantage, carry their momentum. So, for instance, if I go to this one, I can jump into this wind stream like so, and then as I'm about to hit the edge here, carry my momentum all the way to land over right here.
They're surprisingly functional. Like you would think by looking at them as I did that these are insanely gimmicky. But they're pretty functional. They're a teleporter, but with actual trade-off in travel time, and then additional functionality and like additional ways to exit the wind stream.
As well as enter, you can jump into them.
Right, yeah.
Halfway.
And then just fighting as you're in the process of moving among.
Right, you're fighting through the teleporter.
Cool, the visual spectacle, right, of just like flying through the air. Which we've all dreamt about in our real life.
Absolutely. So, and you get these, Weston, I think I saw you send a clip where you like jumped into the wind stream like mid-fight, like, and it's just such a leap of faith. Yeah, I remember how it's called.
It, dude.
Yeah, it's just because there's like there's a little bit of particle effects, but like once you get to a certain point, you try to jump in, you have no idea if you're actually going to land in a wind stream or just die.
I've seen them enough, like in editor, to know where they are. I probably have an advantage over most players in that way, but it's very much learnable because it's always the same when you take it. You always you can learn the path. But I'm pretty confident using them at this point.
Yeah. So we have that.
They're well integrated with all like the pathing, especially like the dead ends and where you enter them, and they're pretty important to the map. I would say pretty cool.
Yeah. So with that, we can move to one of the other like major movement, like I guess things that would seem gimmicky at first but have a lot of realistic utility. Would be the pit portal here. At the end of this hall, there's this really inviting purple glowing portal, some particle effects. Mm-hmm. You drop into it from above, and it will land you at the trap hall end here with the rocket launcher. And this is a really vertical like drop in what's called in general. I'd say like it avoids having what's called when players camp the like one-way teleporters, things like that, where they can just backsmack people as they go out, or any of that teleporter hijinks when you're going through like a two-way node and you go back and forth, and like just ends up being a circus. Christian, you want to like jump through so I can see it show it from this end? Oh, dang. And I missed it. Let's try one more time.
You can also,
it's too fast.
Ground pound hover, right, when you're going through it to
the
to yourself at the top.
Halo 5,
I'll show
your way around like this. You know, you can kind of come through and do a number of things.
You can do that, but you can also reach that high.
Oh yeah, I'll show that real quick. So if I go through, jump across the acid pit here, and it's called. What I often do is I don't do the ground pound thing. I do the stabilize zoom, and then I thrust.
That's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think you do the ground pound one too. I just tend to I'm not as good at like timing the ground pound, so like I'll often just slip too far through. So the stabilize I've been a bit more like constant with. So yeah, those are the two like main types of non-conventional movement mechanics in this map. Being able to fly around the map, which has its advantages, throwing people off, thrusting through, and then the second teleporting through at an unconventional way, but very it's very directionally consistent. You're not like going through and then firing off forward. So I'd say the next thing we can go through is just I figure design a chapel and how combat often works through here. So Christian, you want to be at what's called rafters, and I'll be at top chapel.
Here. Oh, rafters.
Rafters.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was okay. Yeah, you'll be at rafters here, and I'll be at double buttress. Right. So one of the one of the major like inspirations for the structure for me was this encounter here, where we have a player like say like where Weston is right now, and I can't see Christian right now. So, but right there, we have the 3 rafters there, and then you have the 2 buttresses from here. And as you walk up here, you get the ability to get a lot of shots through these 3 windows, literally like these 3 main firing lanes. And as Christian's showing there and fell, okay, what is Weston's showing here? Like
on purpose.
If you're what's called this firing lane here, in order to actually like get over and out of the way, you have to actually jump and like potentially sacrifice that high position to be able to go back and forth. And essentially, you're making that person on that side dance just from right here.
Right.
Yeah, you're committing to all the sidelines. Just the nature of there's no hard pathing between these, so you're always forcing them into a sideline, which is really cool.
And then from this end, I'll show it from my own.
Yeah,
sorry, Christian,
the whole map
first.
is really well integrated. Like structurally, it's very difficult to not utilize a majority of the geometry in the span of like a single fight, assuming it doesn't end where it starts. Like a lot of times it ends up moving throughout all the geometry, and then everyone's everywhere, and then you get to have these like really, I guess, the cinematic, right, fights that everyone always wants. Not that that's always like the best goal, but it happens to work out here really cool because it doesn't like undermine the design. And it's just really exciting. You can like start in one spot in the map and end in somewhere totally different just through a sequence of, falling into the pit and then teleporting and then taking the wind thing and then jumping into it after someone else. It's all pretty cool.
Yeah, that was definitely one of like the key like design features. Like one of my like main goals on this was to make fights, for the most part, not start and end in the same place. Like
static, right?
Yeah, very cinematic. Just lots of like. I don't want to call it like ways to get away, but like in most situations where like someone puts shots on you, you're likely able to do something to like put something between you and them.
Just the ability to reposition quickly
at like in
and
most
effectively.
points. And there was like a lot of tweaking like between like even something as simple as like how close this gate was to the entrance to chapel here. Like, it used to be way longer, and by the time someone would go through here and then jump into Wingate, it'd be too late. The person that was above them already was waiting for them at the top. Like, essentially making that advantage useless. By pushing that in was easily enough to, like, shift the tide of that, I'd say. So from that, we already talked about Pit Portal. I guess we can move to Trap Hall, since Trap Hall was another really like key thing for me, because I've built like those Quake, like I'm gonna say like trap like locations and maps
Dead
where
ends.
like those dead ends where you get to a point, there's a really good power up there, and in the past, like I've built them where like there's power up there and like there's only one way out, but in the like for instance on what's my other map? On Tourist Trap, it's in matchmaking right now for Roaming King. When you in that map, when you get down into the trap, you're pretty much screwed. There's nowhere for you to go. But for here, I wanted to make it really key that like that you had a like while you can get trapped in there, it is still very possible for you to come out on top over in there. So for instance, Weston, if you go over just by like rockets right here, like the only way out for Weston from over there is to come through me essentially. But at the same time, I have to like I'm getting shots on him, and if I try to like nade him in those corners, it becomes a little bit more challenging to fight.
Yeah, there's just enough geometry in here. I mean, I think it's the perfect amount to where I feel like I can live. But especially when you consider the perspective of a teammate, if you're working together with your teammate, you're definitely going to be able to punish me. But if I just keep taking the teleporter over and over to try and escape, it won't work. You can predict that and come in here and kill me.
It just depends how aggressive you are, right? Like how quickly you just want to go in and you know, puncture the team that takes a teleporter to that dead end, and then they're kind of screwed.
Especially
but if you give it enough
bridge
time
up
to
above it.
recoup,
Yeah.
yeah, if you give it enough time to recoup, it gets a little bit harder to, a bit more difficult to punish them. You start utilizing those pockets and avoiding nades and doing all these other. It's pretty cool. It's a dynamic encounter, I would say.
Yeah, and there's almost like 3 stages to it, right? So like you're out on the rocket platform. If Weston's over there, he can keep me from pushing into this room right here and getting to the side if I'm on rocket platform. Often you can punish, throw grenades at me. Don't kill me though. Oh jeez.
What?
It's too good, dude. I just comes naturally. I can't help it.
Nice. So let me get back over there real quick. Yeah, but now if I'm back over here, back by rockets.
Oh, you want me to go back?
From
okay.
Yeah, just to show, right? So like from right there, you can keep me from. It's like don't kill him, Christian. No, we need him.
No, I got it. I can do it better than him.
All right. Oh yeah. Okay. But just like you can keep me from pushing into here. It's like fighting for the position of standing over there. Christian, can you go to Stairway to Heaven for me though?
Yes.
Yeah. Eventually.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Right, because there's a sight line across, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a sight line. So the idea is like you can keep me back just from standing there. Keep me from pushing into this room where I can get much safer. Like it takes a lot to actually like kill me from here. You have to actually pretty much go over the top to really take me out. Or
right, I can go over the buttress.
Yeah, but say you like a lot of times keeping me pushed out here. Say you were standing there or standing on the staircase inside of this building here. Like you can keep me pushed back out here, and right here where Christian's able to punish, right here, and take me out
with my perfect accuracy.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like even from there, you can push down to other levels, and you can actually get to this. Like, there's a lot of approaches to be able to flush people out of this trap hall. You can go over the top through the top window. Yeah, not only getting shots from where Christian is, but you can actually ground pound from there, Christian, and just land like right here. Right. So there's that approach.
I'll go use the.
You want to use the windstream?
Yep. So the windstream comes from.
Yeah, windstream comes here. Oh no, that would have been impressive there. They actually stuck him out of the air, but you get some pretty fun fights there too, rushing in there. And if you're really good at taking your momentum from that windstream, if you time rockets right, you can catch it and thrust right into the hall here to keep yourself safe. Because once you push through here, you have a lot of these buttresses. You have a lot of this cover here to get yourself out without it being too punishing down there.
And fun fact, what I've done before on this exact windstream is, I remember I pushed through it from the other side one shot. Halfway through the windstream, I stabilized, and my Spartan just stayed in place. And then for those couple seconds, it let me start recharging, and then I continued through and came through to the other side recharged.
I remember that, yeah, and then I killed you anyways. I do
Right,
remember
yeah.
that.
I do remember you also did the thrust to like slide backwards to do like a little bit of a strafe in that, which was pretty awesome. Yeah. So I think a thing we can point out here, if one of us wants to go to Sneaky Buttress, like
Yes, sir. Right away.
Yeah.
I don't know where that
Sneaky
is.
Buttress. You do. In your heart.
You know, it's like you've taken it before, right? So that one ends up being pretty. What's it called?
Right.
It's dangerous, but it's like really like if anyone catches you on it, then it can be pretty dangerous. Like
it's a pretty trivial nade trap, right? If I know they're there.
Yeah, it's like it's the hallway itself is surprisingly long. Like the wall's very thick, so it's very easy to nade into it.
Yeah.
If it was even just a little bit thinner, nades would just pass right through.
Yeah. So like it can be really useful, especially to get shots on the window and kick someone off the window who's like at the top of Windstream over there. But anyone catches you there. I know how many times you stuck me like just directly every time I went up into Sneaky Buttress because I thought I was so clever.
I know I've pushed back here one shot before, and if someone tries to push through this door right here, they'll look for you right here, and you can just.
Where'd you go?
Confident enough, you can jump right into the Windstream. Like that.
Oh yeah, you can drop right off of it and like land right in it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. I was gonna say another cool thing is just nerdy sightline. If we go all the way over to where Sentinel Beam is, and if you're on Sneaky Buttress, it actually gives Sneaky Buttress a little bit of advantage, albeit you could argue not necessarily because like it's such a small foot space, but like you can head glitch there if you like get all the way down the edge. I can just like crouch at the edge or get yourself behind that stair and I can't get you. But at the same time, in motion in the middle of a fight, you may not be able to see like this person hit you like that fast, and I could potentially knock you off that catwalk and freak out.
Yeah, you don't have to necessarily kill me. That's what's cool about a sightline like that. It's not really about getting kills so much as it is information and just a little bit of pressure, so they know they can't just sit here.
Mm-hmm. And if I catch a glimpse of you there, sprinting up there, I can run up circles, run up to circle window, get some grenades, chuck it in here, and.
Oh, you're gonna die.
Oh, did it actually hit you with it?
Nice. You could talk about circle window forever, man. Look at it. First of all, awesome. The circle has the moon behind it. It looks amazing from here.
Yeah, the moon, courtesy of yours truly.
Right. Yeah. And of course, and then also what I'm most known for, and what people mostly approach me on the street nowadays for, is that guy who had that awesome ground pound kill in Jake's video, like
from the trailer.
Yeah, people always come up and they're like, "Aren't you that guy?" And I'm like, "Yep, that's me."
Oh, jeez.
And I ground pound them in real life.
You did it, dude. I'm gonna be famous now.
Nope.
Yeah, that's like right at the apex of the trailer.
What were we talking about?
Just pretty much anything. I mean, I think this has been a pretty intuitive way of going about it.
Next?
Oh, anyway, good point. Wraith Windows. So, yeah, Wraith Windows was a fun conundrum because that one was really challenging. We were trying to come up. I had like a lot of different like bar windows, things like that. You see in a lot of people's maps where they'll have these like windows that are meant very clearly to be shot through, but not to like walk through, right?
Yeah, like
they're normally really thin.
Ironwork is just really bad for a shooter. It just blocks shots. You can't really control it. It's just very frustrating.
It's just like half your shots are getting eaten by those little like metal poles people use
but
to
it's
make
still,
their
you're still
fencing
shooting
and their window bars.
Yeah.
But it's just sloppy. So Jake came up with an incredible solution here.
Yeah, the Wraith Windows, which was actually kind of an accident. We were looking at just like a way of making some sort of like really like first we just made like the bar window and just made it really open. Like we're gonna stick an invisible barrier, but it was like would have been really annoying.
Like, I should be able to go through that, but there's clipping there, and that's not good. That's frustrating.
Yeah. So we were messing around with just some light fixtures, things like that. And the zone, like the zone object, actually ended up like creating this really ethereal looking, like window. Like it looks like straight up out of Lord of the Rings, where what's it called when Frodo puts on the ring. Anytime that happens, you get that really like white glow, and you see how like the ring wraiths look.
Like
so we were called
the spirit world, right?
Yeah. So like they look like the ring wraiths. So we've been calling them like the Wraith Windows. And the idea is just simply you can't get through them. I tried to run through them, not gonna happen. but you can shoot through them, you can punch through them. We get so many like really dynamic
I've
fights.
backsmacked. Yeah, I've backsmacked Weston right here through the window. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's fun because they're very close, and it's always just like a cool enigma in a map when you have interesting encounters like that. Where, like, someone immediately
always very
in front of you,
surprising.
and you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very surprising when someone actually gets close like that to melee
Right.
because this is a pretty high traffic area. This big window, the moon window, and it's always very surprising when someone's like right here on the other side of the window and pushes you.
Like if Jake is right here and then he sees Weston on that side, like it's a fun fight. Like just bouncing
Yeah,
around.
Weston, get on the inside of the
Little
windows here, and we can
columns
show, like, real quick. Just like you're right here, and you can easily get shots on me and chuck grenades out here to like really flush me out of here. I have to push in here where you can actually meet up with me, like right away, punish. So, and these windows in general, like you can do quite a lot with them. And one nerdy thing is straight up from over here, you can throw between both windows and get like get some grenades and get. Yeah, you can throw between the two windows
That
here
was the
and get shots
first-
on. That was the first thing we thought of,
First thing we
actually.
came up with. I was like, you should be able to
That's-
shoot. That was like the initial
awesome.
idea was like pressuring the moon window down from the exit down there.
I
was
also
like, you need to
remember
be able to
during
come out of that and
development,
pressure that.
this was a double window at first, or like one. I don't really.
It was
Yeah.
one window at first.
Right now
Yeah.
it's 3. I call it tri-window. Like I was just starting to play the map, and I just instantly called it tri-window.
That's the wrong call out. No one used that.
Yeah,
That's
no.
wrong.
Okay.
Like, stop.
Anyways, the
No.
point is, it's recognizable, right? It's like this triplicate window, and it was just a normal window, but now it's this unique thing.
Yeah, you get a lot of fights through these, and then you have the one in the middle of Chapel, which, like, one of the key things with that, and like, I could see some people ask why. I remember, I think Jason, when he was playing on this earlier, he immediately wanted to jump through this window right here. He was like, "Why can't I go through this window?" And it's like, in the one sense, you could see it as like visually consistent between all of the rafters, but then at the same time, like the key thing with that is we want to force flow to get into these areas here,
Yeah.
and not just have it be so porous that there's no, like, there would be no reason to jump across these rafters and get into these firing lanes and put yourself in this danger and just be so acrobatic here. If I could go through any of these at one point, run across this, run back in, run back out, like it essentially almost forces players to engage in the more unique way of playing, I'd say. And
Yeah,
you get
it's definitely one of those things that's gonna have a little bit of a downside either way you look at it, because if I'm playing for the first time and I get shot through it, I'm gonna try to go through it. But then if I try to go through it and can't, then I'm gonna assume that I can't get shot through it also. So it's just one of those things. You just have to play one game, and then you get it, and it's really cool. And the upside is massive, because it's just this really unique, cool thing. The fact that you can't travel through it, but you can shoot through it is just incredibly useful to a designer, and it's used really well on this map.
It's almost the reverse of remember Snowbound in Halo 3, all the shield doors. You just can't shoot through it, but you can walk through it. It's just reverse of that.
Right, exactly,
Like,
and that
reverse of the
no
Snowbound
one
problem.
really ever complained about that, because it's a Covenant shield door. It had a thematic place, and I think this is the same thing. I think the whole idea of the map being like this confusing, hellish, like Lord of the Rings like place fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks,
what's
man.
the lore? What's the canon?
So
location
this is, if I recall right, it's above Storm Peaks, right? But below
Yes.
Oblivion.
No,
It's
below
yes,
Arcanum.
it's above my
No, it's
map
below
set
Arcanum.
mountains.
It's yonder Oblivion,
It's there.
Ah,
and therefore,
and hereafter.
hence with
Alright.
shake. No,
Oh,
is,
yeah.
it supposed to be like a Wraith Kingdom? Is that the settled upon?
Yeah. Yeah, I really treated it
Above
as like
the
a Wraith
clouds.
Kingdom, but like I wanted to like
Yeah.
the idea of like evil is always portrayed as often really pretty much ugly as wretched, spiky, like really like dangerous. While this like map definitely has that portrayal of evil, I also wanted to portray evil as something really like beautiful in a way. Like not every alluring. Yeah, that would be a big one. Like at the end of the chapel, you literally have this ethereal glowing light. The windows are like By the way, the most gorgeous like windows I've ever seen in Forge, thanks to Christian. Like having to, we could have just thrown emissives behind them, but the emissives are way too bright. So this is a whole. Like,
I pioneered. Yeah. A new lighting technique. Let me speak some words of affirmation to you real quick, just because you've been working on this map for like a long time. I remember when I was doing Arcanum, because I was doing the key thing. I remember you showing me this, and it was called like Witch
Hunt
thing. Yes. Man, that was years ago. You know, like
it was 2 years ago.
Bird cage. Right, this big old bird cage. It was, but you can tell you've worked on it for so long, because I remember when you first showed me like this design, and it was just like this when you like a few months ago, right? But it was a bit tighter. It was really compact, and that got changed after like one game. But I remember seeing it, and like I feel like I have pretty nutty standards. Like I'm like that grumpy old guy on the porch that's like, no one's as good as they should be, right? Everyone needs to do, but whatever. And, like I hate everything. But I remember when you showed me this, I was like, dude, and I remember I spawned right here in the bottom chapel, and then I just like walked forward, and like it's just the pathing right here of this spiraling staircase around a pit, which on its own is really cool, and then the pit is not a pit, it's like a pool porter, which is awesome.
Pool portal, that's a new name for it.
That's what I called them on Oblivion, yeah. Pool porter. That's what Purely Fat actually told me he called them, so now I call them that. Oh, I guess it's gonna go all the way. But that was really cool, and then went to these rafters with these windows and like these buttresses with like everything. Like there's no bad pathing on this map. It's so concise, and every encounter is very cool. Yeah, and it has this like awesome holistic shape that so many people struggle, like really struggle to nail their map. Is like this holistic vision and theme, and like using every single inch of the geometry for something. Right. You have to with Forge, and this map does it so well. Like, there's not one part of this map that's not interacting with like a dozen other parts, and in a really awesome way that's really unique that I haven't seen in a lot of maps, right? Like
and
the way,
just, it sharpens the experience to a point and distills your experience down into like something really potent and consistent. Like I know Bungie is they do that a lot, especially in the trilogy Halo maps. I know. You know, some of the fan favorites are bordering on not enough, right? Like there's like on Nero's, for example, like it's very distilled, very simple. There's almost a little bit of spawn killing, so it's like maybe not quite enough, but like riding that edge of the perfect amount of geometry is like, you know it when you strike it, and I think this map does it.
I wouldn't know one area of this map that I would legitimately like right now add something to or change or whatever, because like all the geometry that's here, it's like you're using the buttresses in like 1,000 different ways, and whenever you're standing on them, you're not just moving, like you're interacting with 12 other buttresses, and like the window that you're seeing through, and that window you can continue to see through and look straight through to like the porter and like the moon window, and like all these other, it's such an intelligent design, and I really just want to stress that as like not the creator of the map. So like maybe that'll offer more credence. This is not Jake speaking about himself, as Jake always talks about himself being the best. But I want to say,
I'm the best.
I want to say it because like this map is like legitimately, and I even said when he first showed it to me, I was like, this is easily like one of the best 2v2 maps I've ever played. Like easily ever. Like so awesome, so intelligent, so concise. Very artistic, like unique in every spot. There's no one path that looks like any other path on this map, and it hits all its strides, like with the coloring and the lighting, and like all these ideas just came together.
Thanks, man.
Like,
wow.
Anyways, over. We'll talk to you guys.
Hold up now. Hold up. We wanted to still go over the split spawns. Just blocked from that. All right, so let's go over the. I figure let's go over the split spawns, since that's probably
split spawns.
A great way of showing how all of these elements interact together. And me and Christian worked on these. We tuned them. We messed around with them. I remember you stuck the two people just on the rafters. It was like, dude.
Yep.
And it ended up being like the most awesome thing. So you have a split spawn.
I'll just say, like,
you have
back
a red.
up to anyone who doesn't know what they are. It's 2v2. Instead of spawning two people, you know, like the teammates next to each other on both teams, if you imagine the map to be a square, you're always spawning opposite of your teammate. So it lends a lot of like creativity and longevity into opening rushes, and honestly, it does a lot for balancing, right? Because there's never been one map in history that's asymmetric that you genuinely feel like both spawns are like exactly as viable. Like there's always just like like maybe that side's a little better, right? And so split spawn is really good in 2v2 to alleviate that because you kind of have like full map coverage off the start, as does your enemy, because everyone is opposite of each other. On your left you have an enemy, on your right you have an enemy, in front of you teammate. So Jake and I are in 2 starting spawns right now. Look where we are. This is enemy spawn, so I would be red team, he would be blue team, and we would start, and this is what the fight would look like the moment you loaded the map.
You got like get some shots and
definitely win.
And I'd thrust away like a wuss because I know I can't beat Christian in the open end fight. Like it's not going to happen. But how you can not only a lot of times what's going to happen is people off the initial spawn, one of them's going to die, but not necessarily. There's a lot of things you can do off the initial spawn. So we have the 2 alternating people here. And can I get someone on Stairway to Heaven real quick? Because that's the other blue spawn.
I call this full moon, which I think is a better call out, and I call the second moon circle half moon.
Yeah, there's too many moons though. Like there's no moon on that side. We can't see it. Like
I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, I got
no.
Oh. Facing this way, I can't see it. Yeah,
oh, you're
that's
right,
not a
gone,
moon.
Dude.
It's like that's no moon. It's space station.
Oh, you're right, dude.
Yeah. But so when we're in here, or I guess I could show it from your perspective too, right here.
Yeah.
So
you should stand there. Yeah. And I'll go in.
So from this angle right here, there's a lot of ways I can actually support my teammate who's at that place I was just at. So Christian being right there, I could start chucking like some grenades in here, and you can actually get them to potentially freak out. And if they try to retreat off the start through pit portal, I can stand. Christian, you want to go through pit portal real quick? Second show.
Whatever.
Yeah. You essentially have 3 options on a spawn. You can fight your enemy that is opposite of you, like your designated dueling partner, or you can leave them and try to help your teammate with theirs, or you could leave them and try to kill the other enemy that you're go right to them. Yeah. So there's a lot you can do. You don't just have to stand there and fight and see who wins.
The starting spawn is really it'll add a lot of longevity no matter who you are, no matter what team you are. It's just a better solution to asymmetric maps having paired spawns.
Yeah.
And this map does it really well. Cool.
Yeah. So I think with that, like the last spawn we could show, Weston, you want to go to that last spawn right over there through the window? Yeah. Our last one, just for reference, is like right there. So like you spawn right there, and you have a lot of options right off the start.
Yeah, I'll go to Stairway to Heaven. That's where the other one is, correct?
Yeah, that's where that one is.
Okay, so there's the 2 in the chapel, and then there's these 2, and there's actually a direct sight line if I come forward a little bit. And generally, like the way we like to do it is like you'll have the dual spawn, which would be considered chapel, which is the 2 spawns that are closer to each other. And then we would have the sort of 2 passive spawns, which can still duel if they want to. All they have to do is take a few steps. But this side is a little bit more inclined to be like the support off start. And it's cool because you have no idea like which role you're gonna play whenever the game starts up. Like you have to be prepared for everything.
Yeah, every Oblivion match that starts, I always yell, I'm like, get ready for dual spawns, and it's always me, and I always win. Because I've never died on Oblivion ever.
Yeah. Oh, it's just very cool to have those sort of those rules right off the start, and it sort of sets the tone for the rest of the entire match. Which again plays into the idea of creating, making every game feel like a new game, new experience, a new map.
Honestly, every 2's map needs to try to adhere to that in some way of balancing out the initial spawns, and that just seems like the best solution I've seen.
It's a very smart system.
Okay. So I think with that, we've hit like all our major topics. Do you guys have anything else to say before we close it out?
How'd you do the lighting?
I asked this guy Christian how to do it, and he decided like, nah, I'll just do it. So when it comes to credit, yeah. So Christian, multi-lock on here, he did the majority of pretty much all the lighting on the map, like all the god rays, all the really just beautiful lighting, and during the process taught me a lot about lighting too. I wouldn't say I'm anywhere close to be able to.
Come on. I mean, I'm the best.
Yeah.
So
And you did a bit of the skybox too. That's a good
I
credit
just
to
wanna
point out
say-
too.
yeah, Skybox
Like
is
the-
awesome.
The moon.
Also, the
like-
most the moon. We talk about the moon. Like,
I
the
got
best
the
looking
moon.
moon you will ever see in a Forge map. Just gonna throw that out there. Like it just is. If you think there's a better one, there's not. Pretty awesome. It's fake.
Yeah.
It's a fake moon, but it's awesome. Excuse you.
Artistically speaking, coming from someone who's fallen prey to this a lot, it's very hard to have an artistic centerpiece that isn't also just where you go all game, right? Like there's this big chapel, you're constantly looking at it from inside or out. It's this vertically stacked thing, and yet the outside of the map and the parts surrounding it are used just as much as the chapel. It's very easy to dislike, especially as a level designer, to put down this big looming structure. It's beautiful, you know, the sun's beating down on it, like, and usually the map, as a result of that, ends up being just running to the chapel and die and respawn and keep doing that. This map is not that, so it's this really cool balance of artistic centerpiece and functional flow, I guess is how I would put it.
And with that, I think I'll end this recording. You can download the map and GameType with the link in the description. Thanks for listening.